I am Casey Redbeard, and this video is called Dating Attractive Women is a Rich Man's Game. Now, if you want to date ugly chicks, you're in the wrong place, you're in the wrong channel. We don't talk about that here. And you could probably get by with minimal financial resources. But for women that actually look good, 7.5s at 8s and above, it is now, unfortunately, a rich man's game. And it's pretty much like this globally. Being a passport bro will no longer save you. And we're going to talk about why this is. But first, be very honest with yourself and answer this question. When was the last time you, the viewer, again, being honest, no cap, put your penis inside of a woman without paying for it? Prostitutes don't count. That was a 7.5 or an 8 and above. 99% of you can't remember the last time, if ever, you got a truly beautiful woman, the one that just like the ones that excite you, the ones that are so hot that you never get the Coolidge effect, meaning you never get tired of them. You can bang them 2, 3, 4 times a night. Maybe you need a day to recharge. We only need a little break from our girl every once in a while, but you never really get tired of them. Not these 6s that you get tired of, okay? Been a long time if you've ever even gotten that. Times have changed. You know, when I was younger, I just wanted to walk with my dad. I'm in my brother's bedroom. I don't know if you can tell, not my usual backdrop somewhere in Latin America. I'm in Los Angeles right now. I was walking with my dad last night, and we were talking about this. I remember said, in my day, we're going to talk about good-looking guys. I know there's a big counter argument. Like, what about these sexy, gorgeous guys? Yes and no, they can get hot chicks. We're going to talk about that. But it was the guy with the biggest charisma. Like, if you were at like a school dance or a house party or something like that, it wasn't even the guy, because well, nobody had money in high school. But I mean, even afterwards, even in like college and stuff like that, there were some rich kids in college. It was the guy that dominated the room with his personality, with his swagger and his charisma. And those things still take you far. Swagger and charisma, look still takes you far. But we live in a different time. Not only do we live in a globalized sexual marketplace, we've talked about this. I'm not going to go into it. Girls can now get hit up by rich guys in Los Angeles, Miami, Dubai. They're not comparing the guys that make 150K to 180K in their small suburbs being on their level. They're now looking at like these global guys on a global scale. That's been said, that's been talked about, that's obvious. What may be less obvious is we live in a globalized single culture now. And listen, obviously the culture in Morocco and Jordan and the People's Republic of Congo is still a bit different than the culture in Asunción, Paraguay, or Ohio, United States, right? But it's becoming more and more the fact. What you guys don't know is like these little couples that make like these couple skits and do these pranks. They all copy off one another in English. Those are the biggest influencers. They don't have much unique stuff. Then the Portuguese and Spanish influencers copy them. And because of travel and globalization and many things, my point being in this whole unified like global culture thing, we have one message that's being sent to hot 21-year-old and 22-year-olds all around the world, which is only date guys with money, only fuck guys if they're taking care of you, only accept first dates that are like the most lavish, expensive restaurant in your town, don't take coffee dates, you're a queen, men are garbage, men are trash. At the very least, he should be supporting you. Again, you're a queen girl, don't date broke men, don't date broke men, don't date broke men. They're being bombarded with this, and thanks to the phenomena of groupthink, and I don't know the exact word for this, I guess it would also be groupthink, but if you put anybody in a lab coat and put them at the front of the room in like a science lab, people automatically kind of give that person authority. A woman sees another female influencer that's just some bird-brained bimbo, but because she has millions of followers, a blue check, tons of comments, and she's saying to other women, be a hoe, like, listen, I worked my waitress job and I didn't know my worth back when I was a waitress, but now I know my worth, and I got an OnlyFans and now I'm making, 10 times what I used to make as a waitress, and it's so good. Or I'm only dating these rich men, or I'm selling feet pictures, or blah, 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 blah. A guy has to take me to, a Michelin star, $500 a night restaurant. If you guys see these interviews, we did street interviews in Miami, these chicks aren't joking. This guy, the Desirable Truth, I think his guy, it's like that kind of like semi-jacked black guy who interviews people. The girls always say, yeah, in Miami, a guy needs to spend $300, $400, $500 a night minimum on a date to take them out. And another thing that we're seeing, aside from this For You page, this group thing, this phenomena of women being like brainwashed into thinking a certain way because we have one globalized For You page, one globalized sexual marketplace, thanks to social media, is we're seeing both men and women want to hit the fast forward button on both sides. Let me explain. And the 1920s, 1930s, I wasn't around back then, but my understanding of the way things worked is that men had to wait quite a while before getting sex, for the most part, exceptions aside. But yeah, men had to wait a while before they got sex from women. They would wait maybe 2, 3, 4 months. And women had to wait for the provisioning, for the providing to be taken care of by the man. Well, what happened around the 70s, 80s, 90s, and certainly by the early 2000s is men were hitting that fast forward button and getting sex on the first, second, third date, but they weren't providing for women until marriage. So men hit the fast forward button first. We got sex without having to provide and take care of the women first. And women didn't have this collective conscious thought. They didn't collectively wake up one day and say consciously, you know what? Men hit the fast forward button and they're getting sex right away. We should get the money right away. But that's just what we've come to, right? Women now want to be taken care of, spoiled, provided for, given money straight from the beginning, and they're not patient about waiting for it for many months or years until marriage. The same way that men are no longer patient on waiting for sex. We want sex on the first, second, third, or fourth date. So it is what it is. On both sides, we're hitting the fast forward button. Now, the counter argument is, what about Chads? What about good looking guys? I have this friend, I know this guy. He walks up to women, women get, weak in the knees, they start shaking. Women will offer their phone number to him. Look, there's always going to be a guy that's, 1 in 20,000, 1 in 40,000 in the gene pool, and women are just going to get, wet just looking at the guy. And those guys will always exist. However, those guys won't be able to retain women. You see it more in younger too, in college social circles, really young girls, this will be more prevalent. But at the end of the day, this is a famous Casey Redbeard quote, at the end of the day, a chiseled jawline and a defined set of abs doesn't pay the bills. A woman can't live in Brickell, Miami, South Beach, West Hollywood, California, just off screwing and giving up the pussy to all these good-looking dudes. At the end of the day, or at the end of the month, the 30th of every month, that rent is due. And while she may run around and fuck these Chad guys, there's always a sugar daddy paying her bills along the way. My good friend Owen Cook, if we can find it, we'll insert in this clip Owen talking about how all of his female friends in Los Angeles all have sugar babies. That's just become the new norm. If we can find that, we'll insert that in here.
She's asleep, after we'd had sex, and her music's playing. I go, baby, can you turn your music off? Here, please turn your music off. She goes, you turn it off. You turn it off, right? I'm like, I'm good. You turn it off, right? She goes, no, you turn it off. I go, fine. So as I go to turn it off, I see this thing some guy's name with some message, and it says SA beside it. And I think to myself, I roll through my brain, I go, fuck, is that seeking fucking arrangements? Like, did I just unwittingly have sex with a hooker? Oh, shit, because in my mind, seeking arrangements or sugar baby is like a hooker. That's how I thought of it, right? Because it used to be. Well, as it turns out, luckily, again, I strap up. But as it turns out, I talk to her, I wake her up, I go, yo, are you a hooker? Like, this is not cool. Like, what the fuck? She's like, because it's 2015, right? She's like, every single one of my friends is on this. They're all fucking using it. And I started, now I've got a lot of great female friends. So I started asking my female friends around LA. They're almost all on seeking arrangement, sugar daddy, like almost every girl I know. It's crazy. Why is that? Because if you live in LA and your rent is $5,000 a month, how are you going to even pay for that?
And then also another thing that I want to talk about is a famous case that happened. It was a big drama on the internet with my friend, Walter Weeks, aka Fresh Prince CEO from the Fresh and Fit podcast. And he had this crazy whore named Daisy that he was smashing for a while. But what it came down to is look, she liked him. She was legitimately into him. She came to Miami, the groupthink of find a famous black guy who's got some money and some status, took over her. And listen, that's just a quick side tangent. Groupthink is a thing. There's certain areas where the groupthink says, white guys are the shit. Me in Guadalajara, Mexico, me in Philippines, the groupthink says white guys are the shit. In Miami, the groupthink brainwashes the girls thinking black guys are the shit. So she came there. She thought Walter was the shit. She started dating him. But the reason why she eventually went crazy on him, and it became this whole scandal, is because he wouldn't provide her. She thought she had done the work. She had, been sucking and fucking and being a good woman, loyal-ish. Who knows if she actually was. But she felt very, what's the word? Like he had wronged her. He was, not treating her fairly. She had been, fouled basically, because She was giving him sex, but he wasn't providing. She had savings. She was like a former escort prostitute. He didn't know this when he started dating her. He probably could have done, a little bit better and researched the whole facts better. But I mean, what girl isn't though? But at the same time, even if he knew, what hot girl in Miami isn't selling feet pictures on OnlyFans? They all are anyway. He couldn't have predicted what was going to happen. And then, long story short, she like tried to embarrass him with this fake pregnancy scandal and all this. You guys can look up all this stupid drama. It doesn't really matter. She's just a dumb hoe. But point being, she felt entitled to try to ruin him and burn his life to the ground because she felt that by trading him sex over, and giving him, free sex, she had earned an apartment. Like one day she just woke up and basically, she didn't say like, I'm running out of, maybe she did, I don't know, but she was running out of savings. She saw her savings going down and now she's fucking this guy, Walton. Look, maybe she had another sugar daddy on the side, but whatever it is, either way, she's like, back to my point, a chiseled jawline and defined set of six-pack abs doesn't pay the bills. Now, I'm the honest dating coach. That's what my YouTube comments and the world has kind of bestowed this title upon me. Very flattering. I like the reputation I've earned of being, the honest dating coach. This is against my best interest to tell you this. I have a lot of people who make 50, 60, 80, 90K a year who aren't rich that could buy one of my lower tier products. I don't have anything out right now, but look, I'm gonna put out a texting guide. I may charge it, $47, $87, $97, something like that. If you make 50, 60K, you can buy my texting guide. I could do a low ticket, group coaching thing, $100, $200 a month. People who make 90 grand a year could afford this. This is against my best interest to just be fully honest and say, listen, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll say with a Canadian accent. I'm so sorry to tell you this, but if you don't make 180K a year minimum in the United States and minimum say 100K overseas, Brazil, Colombia, something like that, and you're fully prepared to share your wealth with a woman, you will not be able to retain and date a beautiful woman for long term unless you just find some. Look, there's always outliers. Look, bro, like, but what about this case? But what about that case? It's like when you start a business and people tell you focus, kind of niche down and get really good at one thing. And then so says, but what about Amazon? Amazon does physical products. They have a streaming service. They're a web hosting company. I want to do it all like Amazon. It's like, bro, you're not Amazon. Like, you're not the outlier. You watching this video, you're not the outlier that's gonna, make 45K a year and date a 10 in Miami. You know what I mean? Like, is there a girl who just, she has her own money from God knows what source? She's, hoeing on the side, being a sugar baby on the side, family money, trust fund baby, who knows? And she'll just date a gorgeous man who makes 45K. Sure, I guess, but like, I wouldn't count on that, right? Like, if I'm playing the odds, I can't remember the last time I saw a truly beautiful woman, say certainly over the age of 23, that was dating a man long term who wasn't like fully 100% taking care of her. Because again, you can walk around West Hollywood, Miami, you can walk around South Beach, you can walk around Brickell, you can see these gorgeous girls wearing their Lululemon, fit athletic slash streetwear hybrid thing that they wear, where it's like you could wear it out for a brunch, but it's also could be wear it at the gym. They all have the same shit. And they're walking their dog. And all they do, like I said, is like they walk the dog and go to the gym. They don't solve any problems in the marketplace. And you got to think like, how is this possible? How is this happening? There's an old dude paying their bills or a young hot guy. And what you guys don't realize too is just when you see the girl with like the jacked Chad doesn't mean he's also not a provider. Like, I hate when I see that argument. Oh, I see good looking guys with chicks all the time. And who said he isn't also a sugar daddy? You ever seen like Seeking Arrangement from the girl side? You know it's not just about fat old dudes. Now, I'm sure the fat old dudes have more money and pay better than the younger guys, but there's a lot of girls who accept, a guy like, bro, I know a guy in Miami who, the way he met his girlfriend was he went to this bar and he said, like, this girl's so gorgeous, I have to have her. She was the bartender. And he bought like $20 drink or something like that, tipped her $100 off of a $20 drink, went back to that same bar the next weekend, tipped her like $250 off of a $50 tab. She wrote her phone number on the receipt. He texted her, called her, took her out to some lavish place, paying for vacation, just immediately giving money. Now he just negotiated he just pays her rent only. And he's like, okay, I'm capped. Like, I pay her rent, 3K a month. I pay her rent and that's it. Of course, he's still paying for the nice dinners. He's still paying for vacations, but she's not like hitting up like, babe, I want a bag. Babe, I want some shoes. It's like when they're together, he pays for everything. And then, he got her the apartment, but that's that's what it comes down to. Otherwise, how are they living in Brickell? How do they live in West Hollywood? When was the last time you saw a beautiful 22-year-old with like, that beautiful women are like children, right? Beautiful women. I remember like I hired models for this photo shoot. Like I stopped doing this. We stopped because I don't think the social proof shots are necessarily that valuable to the clients anyway. And for the extra amount of headache that to get a beautiful 22-year-old girl in Miami, Sao Paulo, Rio, anywhere on the fucking planet, Los Angeles, to be at a photo shoot on time, and I pay well. I pay well. Like, but I've offered, I'm not even gonna say actually how much, but like I pay fucking well. Oh, I thought it was the 23rd. I go through like all of our chats. You gonna be ready on Wednesday? It's Wednesday 23rd. Like they can't even remember. They screw up the dates. They have no respect. They're never taught or like reprimanded or taught any life lessons or stuff like that. They just point being they can never make money as an entrepreneur. And again, their monthly expenses are 7, 8,000, right? Going out to eat a little bit in Miami, rent, whatever, gym, there's always Equinox or some night, you know what I mean? They're burning through 7, 8K a month easily, easily in these fucking places. So what's the solution? Well, you got to get rich. Again, if you were thinking about investing in one of my lower tier products and you want to date hot women consistently and you still want to buy it, that's up to you. But I'm being very honest with you. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to retain a beautiful girl anywhere on the planet these days. So you might as well save your money and don't even buy my shit, or just accept that, you can, maybe fuck them a few times before they find a richer guy, or you can, maybe go someplace where your value is just crazy. Like you can go to El Salvador, Honduras, a small remote village outside of Cebu, Philippines, and 40K is like okay, maybe still, but like I'm telling you guys, like it goes against my best. You have to get rich. I recommend digital marketing, high ticket sales, and anything to do with content creation, especially using AI for content creation. And the thing about AI, you want to get involved in that as well. But the reason why I mentioned sales and not particularly AI is because who gets rich during a gold rush? The people selling the shovels, right? The people who sold the shovels got the richest during the gold rush, more than the people, more than the revenue generated by gold was the revenue generated by people buying shovels, right? Or maybe I'm screwing that up, but you get my point, right? So if you can sell AI, you don't need to know about it. You don't need to be a developer and coder. You can go down that route. That would be an amazing, if you're built for that, if you know your brain, your very logical, mathematical engineering brain, go down that rabbit hole. But that's the thing, high ticket sales, digital marketing, content creation, either being on the marketing side of it, the actual, like what I'm doing in front of the camera, or helping like an influencer out or anything with AI. And if you're already rich, use it. Use it, okay? Um, Offer lavish first dates. Like there's different degrees of sugaring. I'm gonna start coaching some of my highest ticket guys on sugar dating, because unfortunately it's the new norm. And listen, I am so sad to be formally recommending sugar dating certain people. Now I don't do it. I think when I'm in my 40s, maybe I'll just say fuck it. I'll just do it. I'll be like, listen, guys, I have decades of receipts dating back to my early 20s, like before I was sugaring. I'm 40 now. It is what it is. If you think that destroys all my credibility as a dating coach, so be it. But as of this point, I'm 37. I haven't sugared, at all. And what you guys can do though, if you are there, is swim against the current, against the tide, go extinct like the dinosaurs, try to be stubborn about it, or you can accept reality for what it is. So offer lavish dinners on first dates, keep your texting to a minimum, ghosting, time wasters, flaky girls, it's all gonna still happen. But by dangling the carrot and offering like, the nicest over the top restaurants in your city as a first date, or even outright telling them things like, just so you know, I don't know how I would phrase this. It sounds very simpy, right? But it's a more masculine, less pathetic way of saying like, just so you know, like, I believe in being a provider in a relationship. Again, I don't know how you would just throw that in there. I need some time to brainstorm the right way to throw that in there. But if you're gonna sugar, I'm gonna come out with like a whole list of these things, but you got to screen for strong burning desire, meaning if she's 22, 23, 24, especially if she's Latina, but really any ethnicity, but especially Latina, she should be wanting to drain your balls all day long. Always depends on the girl, right? Like, girls are all different, but like, you definitely know you're on the safe side if like, you smash her once and then you start putting on your pants. She's like, where are you going? Wait, no, 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 no. Get back to bed, mister. Like, I don't know if you need 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but like, we're going again round two. And you're like, oh shit, my balls are empty. She's like, no. And like, she's like holding you down. You like can't get back to work. She like wants to fuck you and suck your dick, all day long. Things like that. If you text her and she's like free at a moment's notice, she's never doing anything else. And then tell her, well, I'm gonna save some stuff for the premium clients one of those shows. So just message me the word, I don't know, sugar or something like that on Instagram as Redbeard Rants One. And we can talk about that more. But if you can avoid it, look, you got to still stay in shape. You have to have a masculine, strong personality. You don't want to be the creepy, weird old guy that has like some, sex slave that's like not into him. That's like, counting the seconds, can't wait to get away from you, hates the sight of you, hates your breath, hates the way you smell, hates everything about you. That's not the correct way to do sugaring. And most of you guys, especially if you don't do it without my help, like, let me say this for the record, you're going to crash and burn and see the most ugly side of human nature if you try to figure out, navigate this whole sugaring world without my help and my guidance. And it's reserved for guys who have exhausted all their options. You don't want to go to a foreign country. You're 55 and you're short and you're chubby, and that is what it is. You just don't see it, your situation improving. You're never going to be a Chad, and you have to. And you really want hot girls. You can't get your dick hard to fucking fours and fives that are in their 40s. You want a good looking, at least 7, 22, 23-year-old chick. Yeah, you're going to have to sugar. There's no way around it. Let me be very clear. I don't care even my good friend Owen Cook. I love Owen Cook to death. Owen, I don't know if you're gonna see this video. Love you, buddy. You've had the greatest influence on my life of anybody, maybe even more so than my own fucking parents. But if you think that the fat, short, Asian or Indian dude is gonna come on your boot camp at 50 years old, making 65K a year and learn about swagger and charisma, and he's gonna date the hot sorority girl after that. Um, I don't think Owen believes that. It'd be delusional. Owen's smarter than that. I don't think he's like selling people a false dream or anything like that. This is not, to call out Owen, but whoever it is, if anybody is trying to sell you on the fake dream, just learn how to talk to girls really well. Just use your mouthpiece really well. Money is the equalizer, bro, because what men had, we still have, but I say had in past tense, is our strength advantage, but it doesn't really come into play anymore in modern times. And women have their sexuality. So it's like man is like fighting with like our bare hands, and woman has like a shield and a sword, and they're ready to do fucking battle because their sexuality is an advantage in literally everything in terms of just, being able to date rich guys, in terms of just everything, saving time, being able to fire off one-word answers on text messages, being able to swipe for 10 seconds on a dating app and have a bajillion matches, in terms of like girls who want to immigrate to other countries. I was in the car the other day, this Uber driver, long story short, his journey to go from Cuba to the US was like, oh my God, I had to go to this country first, get this visa, stay there, learn this language, get, from Brazil, I went to Mexico, I lived there for a while, like, but he made it to the United States after years and years of turmoil. His sister, she just married some gringo, flew over first class, you know what I mean? So it's like, women have their sexuality, and money can be your one equalizer in this insanely unfair playing field. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's it. You can subscribe for more free game, and that's all. Cheers, boys.